Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Oh yeah, another week down. Closer we get to the grand final. We've got the prelim this week. It is such a huge week of footy. And what I love about these prelims is, they are, relatively close. Relatively close. The Sharkies are coming in with red hot form, whereas last year the Sharkies playing Penrith, a lot of people didn't give them a chance, whereas a lot of people giving the Sharkies a chance. And Broncos Panthers, it really is about, look, if the Broncos can turn up and play one of their better games of the season, they can go toe-to-toe. They're the one team with a roster that's good enough. It's just a matter of what Broncos will turn up, because we know what Panthers side will turn up. They'll go 27 from 27 and put you under pressure. But welcome to people listening live on SEN 1170, 1620 on the Gold Coast, SENQ 693 or the SEN app. And welcome to all our listeners listening, on the SEN app, but you can also download it, the SEN app or the App Store or the Google's Play Store. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify. You can also follow us via the Bloke in a Bar YouTube channel or SEN League YouTube channel. On the show today, Raiders and Bulldogs both bounced out in straight sets. We review their seasons. Tom Trbojevic saga continues. Will he stay or will he go from the Seagulls? Nawaqanitawase set to join rugby when his contract expires. We'll see him back in the NRL down the road. And Big Tino commits to the Kangaroos for the Ashes Tour. And Knights restructure continues with reports Luke Keary is set to join Justin Holbrook's staff as an attack consultant. And team news, Jerome Hughes named to play for the Storm. Broncos go for experience with Hunt, set to partner Reynolds, and also Smoothie at 13. And a preview of both prelim finals. Just give a scope. Let's join us. How you going, brother?
The beak, I'm good, mate. Well, I'm in a bit of a predicament. And as I said before the show, I want you to help me talk our way through this. By the way, Kebby's on the white wine, randomly. But just wanted to drop the shoulders before a big captain's run on this Wednesday afternoon, getting ready for finals.
It's a big knock, mate. 3 hours, 2 hours on my own.
All right. So here's my predicament, boys. Maestro, you can help me talk through this as well. I've had something on the Broncos, responsibly.
Of course.
Or maybe sometimes I do get, I don't recommend it, but sometimes I personally get a little bit willy-nilly.
Okay.
Put it that way. What are you really gambling with? Gamblinghelponline.org.au.
You win some, you lose more.
I got the Broncos at 26s, Kempy.
Oh.
Right? All right, I got the Broncos at 26s.
Oh, okay. So I see where this is going.
So I'm sitting back last Sunday watching the absolute Todd Carnage, or the week before, the Todd Carnage of the Broncos versus Raiders, and losing Walsh, not losing Carrigan. And I thought, you know what, if I have a play, this is mid-year, if I have a play, then I'll give myself a great opportunity anyway. Like, at those odds, if they get close enough, I can hedge a bet somewhere. I can't hedge any bets. I don't feel comfortable hedging a bet on any team because I still have no idea who is going to win this competition, Kempy. Oh. So, like, the obvious one is, all right, have a play on the Panthers. Then no matter what, you got one on that side of that. That's something I've contemplated.
How much times is your cash out at the moment?
The cash out is healthy.
It's healthy.
Yeah, it's healthy.
It's a healthy cash out.
Because, like I said,
because you don't want this to turn.
Skipper had a lick. Put it this way, right? Skipper had a lick.
Because you don't want to turn this into a Meghan Markle, an absolute debacle. Yeah.
But so I've got options. Like, the options are, do I go Panthers and then give myself at least one team on that side of the draw?
Yep.
The other obvious one is go the favourite in the Storm, and then either the Broncos and the Storm get there, and perfect world, no matter what, I've got to collect by the time we get to the grand final, or at least if the Panthers go through and I get the Storm. But I'm not confident the Storm can beat the Sharks.
Mate, it's honestly, the Sharkies beat him at Shark Park earlier this year.
And you know what I've settled on? I've settled on I can't hedge. I'm not hedging. I've got to hope the Broncos beat the Panthers and then see what happens.
No hedge.
Week. No hedge.
I'd be cashing out.
What do you think? You're a Broncos man, Kevy.
I'm a Broncos man, but I don't want to be riding. Like, the thing is, you're riding both then.
Yeah.
Whereas if you cash out, you don't have to ride that. You can just enjoy the game and be like, if we lose, we lose. But if you, it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
It's a double whammy, Horror. If you lose and you lose the cash. Whereas you get a win either way. If they go through and you win, sweet. You've also got extra cash in the bank. You don't want a double whammy after a loss like that.
All right, so I'll explain to you what it's like to be a punter sometimes. So for me, the bet is the bet, right? You put a bet on, you hope to win some money. You don't always win it. It doesn't always go that way. But the main part of putting a bet on like that at the time I put it on is about being right. It's more about more about the prediction. It's more about being right.
course it is.
So I would, the money could be good if I cashed out now and I get a
Yep.
nice little chunk. And you know what? I sit back and watch the finals and can drop the shoulders and just enjoy. But you know what? If I can ride this all the way to the end, Kempy, and me man Walshy or Adam Reynolds or Paddy Carrigan, if they're good enough to get through to next week, because he'll be back, I'm more worried about this game, which is obvious for obvious reasons, without Paddy Carrigan, than if we can get to the GF. And I'm saying we now, Ken, because I'm a Bronco.
Oh, you're on the Broncos now.
I'm a Bronco.
Oh,
Manly are out.
Okay.
And they've got all this drama and they're stuffing up stuff. They've already stuffed it up with DCE. Now they're stuffing it up with Turbo. I'm out. Manly, I'm out. Parramatta, we're building. So I am Broncos camp in the Final Four.
That you might be the only person that's gone their second team is Broncos. Everyone hates the Broncos.
Well, my second team already got beaten as well, which was, actually, that would be my third team, the Raiders. They were eliminated.
Jimmy Smith areas here.
Yeah. Now, I think I got 7. I got too many teams.
Oh, man, yeah. Listen, I'd be cashing out, mate. I'd be cashing out, yes, it's good to – but look.
Let me know, listeners, what would you do?
But
listeners?
I will say –
0457 736 736.
I will say, because you've made a statement here, people are aware that you did bet that. Even though you didn't go ride it all the way, they're aware that if they go on to win, they still know you did it.
No, that's not it.
Okay, doesn't it? Okay.
No, the punters won't let me get away with that.
Okay.
No way. If you cash out, you could. They'll let me know. They'll let me know next week.
Could you cash out and then use some of that for like whoever wins the Broncos? Because there's an argument to be made. Whoever wins Broncos Penrith wins the whole thing. There's an argument to be made there.
I just want all the glory.
Oh, okay,
I just want all the
okay.
glory. I'll feel like whoever raises that Clive Churchill if I get this. If I'm able to get the Broncos.
Okay, we've got some text here. Hedging is for gardener scope. Strap in and let her ride.
Yeah, I like
Leroy.
that. Who's that from? Give me the
Leroy.
name.
Leroy.
Leroy, I like that energy.
Leroy
I like that energy.
Scope, cash out and reinvest so you can't lose.
Oh, there you
Hatchie on the
go.
Heights.
Easy.
Okay.
That's your side of it?
Okay. Never cash out. Just back the other 3 to win equal dollars.
That's a hedge.
Okay,
All
that's
right,
a hedge.
a hedge.
Got a ride for sure here. Ride for sure.
Let it ride.
Yeah, listen, so it's split really. It's 50-50. I like that. We've got some shrew listeners. We've got some ones that like balls to the wall kind of stuff. Now, listen, in regards to some big games on the weekend, Raiders v Bulldogs, let's get into the Raiders. And then we'll spend more time on the Bulldogs. I know I don't want to take anything away from the Sharkies because the Sharkies played really well. They played really composed finals footy, and they defended their backsides off. But I have to say, I feel like that game against the Broncos, just took it out of them. Like that was
100%.
We've never seen anything like that. Like the mental, we've never seen a team think they win in the NRL. Like cheering. I mean, we've seen it I guess happening, and then like a knock on or something happens. I don't know, but to actually the game, the whistle sounds like it's being blown twice, and then gets brought back. I just think with how crazy that game was. 95 minutes against it's not like it's against a team with on paper, not a crazy side. You're dealing with one of the most explosive sides in the comp in the Broncos.
Yeah.
You don't play the Broncos and come away going, oh yeah, that was just a bit of a grind and we just got through it. It's like, no, that was a tough kind of explosive game. I just think it took it out of him, mate.
Kemby, you could ask they lost 3 times during that game.
Yeah.
Because they had an 18-point lead going into the last 15 minutes. So there was a part of them that they were probably thinking, you know what, we'll park the bus here now, we'll get to the siren. Walshy missed a couple of kicks on the way back too. Like they were scoring tries for fun, and if he didn't miss a couple of kicks, hit the crossbar, there was so much that was happening in that game that you would have to factor in. And saying that, I want to be clear as well, a factor, I was super impressed by the Sharks.
Yeah.
What the Sharks did, I thought the Sharks got a couple of 50-50 calls that didn't go their way. In that game, was it I think a Mulatalo try earlier Mulatalo goes up and taps the ball in the air.
Bro.
I thought that was play on.
So,
I'm shocked Tom Starling didn't get the same penalty, at least a penalty, 10 in the bin, suspension that Jack Whiten got for a similar hit on Toby Rudolph about seven weeks ago. So there are a number of things that actually went against the Sharks in the game where it looked like the Canberra Raiders could have taken advantage of that, but they were really good, mate, and they've been, they're they've got all that momentum out
Yep.
of all the teams. It's obvious that Penrith are
Mate.
on a good run as well, but Sharks are playing really good footy.
That Mulatalo knockback. We use video refs for everything. Like, we use video refs when it's an obvious knock on. They go, I'm setting up as no try, but they want to check what happened. Like, in the one area where you just go, I'm just going to see what happens here, you immediately call a knock on.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? I just don't get, like, it's like, if you're a Sharkies fan, that's when it does feel like the world's against you. Because you're like, why wouldn't you just let that play out and then use the video ref to see whether he knocked on or not?
Yeah, for
Very,
sure.
very, just, I don't understand that. Now, with the Raiders, heading into next year, I guess the big question is, and look, what I was disappointed, and I understand people are passionate, I get it, but just the amount of negative comments I got about Fogarty, like, yes, I understand in the big moment, probably didn't step up the way you would have hoped, but he got you a minor premiership. Like, just to turn on him that hard, you got to remember, this guy isn't like a 300-game veteran. You know, he would bought about 150 games. As I said, I'm not saying that he played outstanding, but like the amount of messages I got, just like, never want to see him at the club again, like just turn on him. I just couldn't believe it because he got him a minor premiership. I guess the big question will be, you know, are they ready for life without Fogarty? You know, that's going to be the big question.
It's really difficult. So I've got a couple of things off the back of that. Going into the final series this year, Canberra were my team, but every team I could poke a hole in them, and the one hole that I think was evident even more so when Ethan Strange was ruled out the morning of was they want to play the power game, they want to punch in the mouth, they want to make it a little bit scrappy. They don't really have anything that you watch week to week that's their plan A with regards to attack.
Yeah.
Once they get to a certain part of the field, you can see it with Penrith. They've got a certain shape that they like to do. Melbourne have got, variations, but for the most part, like, you can sort of see what they're trying to do week in, week. Even with Walshy, like as instinctual as Walshy is, there are certain things in his game that he loves to do that he will try to pull the trigger on if he gets an opportunity to do that. The Raiders are mainly second phase offload and getting it weak and exposing fatigued defenders at the back end of the half with guys like Ethan Strange, or when he does something like that on Packle 3 or 4, it opens up for KO Weeks to have some joy as well. So with Strange missing, that's where I thought the Canberra Raiders were lacking. It's going to be a huge task next year.
Yeah.
I would, as good as he was this year, Tom Starling had a career year. I'm uncertain of whether Ethan Strange, at this point of his career, he doesn't really seem like the sort of guy to run a team. So it's either got to be Ethan Sanders, and if Ethan Sanders is not ready to be that dominant half for the Canberra Raiders moving forward next year, I think I've seen enough from Owen Paddy that I think he's capable of it, but he's got to start and he's got to play bigger minutes.
Which is tough because Starling has been, the best night at the club last year.
And I don't think Ricky will do that because that's not Ricky's nature to sort of go to a young guy like that. But that's what I would do.
Is it the first ever Ethan Haas pairing in the NRL history? Never seen two Ethans go at it.
I like the name Ethan too, by the way.
Oh yeah, there you go. Shout out to Ethans around the world. We got there, Maestro.
Jaden Brayley coming to the club next year as well.
Bria Brayley confused me.
I guess Brayley does have the maturity to lead the team around if he needs to. But yeah, so it's going to be super interesting. What's weird is sometimes, of course, the Raiders would want to be where they're at right now, which is one of minor premiership. But when you're ahead of plan, you're not on plan. If you know what I'm saying, and so they're in this weird spot now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know what you're saying.
When you're ahead of your plan, that means you're not on your plan, and so sometimes you've got all these backup plans for if you're behind plan. But no one ever sits there and goes, "What if we're so far ahead? What's the plan then?" And the Raiders find them in this really weird situation where they're way ahead, like literally 2 years ahead of their plan, and then they bring in a key position, that is the most important position. They don't know how he's going to go. It's a tough spot to be in. Look, what I will say is Ricky Stewart's his ability to develop players has been outstanding. Probably one of his most underrated developments as a coach in his last 4 or 5 years. He just develops guns like Tarpon, their best forward in the competition, or at least one of them. Strange has gone on a fight. Kyle Weeks couldn't get a really start at Manly. He's gone outstanding. Yeah, hanging in there with Savage. So.
Oh, and Paddy's looking good.
Yep, looking great. All righty, we are going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to talk about the Bulldogs. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. powered by Lontel. Just released this new multi-gig internet, unbelievably fast internet, all thanks to NBN Co. You'd be surprised how quick the internet can be these days. Go to lontel.net.au, LAUNTEL.net.au/bloke. And yeah, check it out. No contracts, no credit cards, and you only pay for what you use. Okay, doggies, bounced out, straight sets. You know, for a season that seemed the answers were so clear, the leadership was so strong, everything seemed laid out in front of the Dogs. Never in my wildest dream did I think that I'd be heading into 2026 totally not sure what's happening at the Dogs anymore. And I know, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. You know, Galvin will go to 6 or 7, and then but I don't think it is clear that's what's going to happen. Like, all of a sudden, Gould's saying Galvin's not a 7. And so it's like, well, hang on a sec. Initially, that was the plan. He was going to be the 7. And then it's going to be, okay, so is Galvin going to be a 6? Does that mean that Burton is going to be moving to a centre position? Is he going to get squeezed out because of his price? Like, I just think that there are so many more questions than answers at the moment swirling around at the Dogs. And then you could make the argument that that's not even their biggest pain point right now. You could make the argument it's their forward pack.
Yeah, their forward pack definitely needs help, and that's been evident now in the fashion in which they've bowed out in the last couple of finals. Here's one thing I'll put to you, and I was trying to talk me big mate off the cliff there.
Okay.
On the way home, we drove home, we called the game, SEN, driving home. He had a gig out there. And I was talking to him, and he was very passionate on our podcast.
Of course,
there was more passion in the car drive on the way home.
Of course.
Let me put it that way, right? And this is what I said to him. I said, mate, and this is thinking out objectively, and I'm not nowhere near as invested in the Bulldogs as you, but I was like, I didn't think you could win the comp anyway, right? So before the changes, I didn't think. As good as he was playing, I didn't think Sexton was the player to get you to a premiership.
And that was a knock-on. That was the whole reason they went into
That's
the market.
the reason, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the main reason, they go to Lachlan Galvin. Could they have probably gone further? Potentially. Could they have played better throughout the season where they didn't finish third and maybe finish first or second, which then would have been a home semi? They wouldn't have to go to Melbourne. Yeah, there's so many hypotheticals around that off the back of it, because they probably could have been a better regular season team without all the disruptions, for sure.
Yeah.
But I still thought prelim max was the ceiling I had for the Bulldogs. So moving forward next year, yeah, there are a whole heap of questions for sure around the Bulldogs. But if they can... The big one's 7. Like, who's going to play 7?
That's what I mean.
Is it going to be Galvin? Does he get a full preseason at it? And is he going to be the 7 moving forward?
He's not a 7.
Or is this Mitch Woods kid as good as advertised? Because everyone keeps telling me he's a gun. I've heard about him for the last couple of years. He's played New South Wales Cup. I think there was one game where Ciro had him 18th man. We haven't seen him yet. If he's the 7, if he can become some young prodigy and be the answer, Galvin goes to 6. I actually don't hate Matty Burton at centres. I know that would be another disruption, and that would be maybe frustrating for Matty Burton, who I'd imagine sees himself as a 6.
Bronson as well.
Bronson then, for me, would have to either shift to the wing, or the other player that could miss out would be Connor Tracy. If Critter went into the fullback position, and they went, because like they sort of had Critter in a hybrid role at the back end of the season, so that's something that they could play with. But yeah, I actually think...
Well, put it this way. Even, let's say they bring Mitch Wood in, and their spine is Hayward, Mitch Wood, Galvin, Connor Tracy. That's still multiple years away from a premiership. And that's where I go, like, the plan, it seemed quite clear, and now there's been a spanner in the works because Galvin came in and played 7. Is he going to play 7? Is he going to play 6? The Sean O'Sullivan signing says to me that they've kind of realised that their spine isn't ready to take that next step at this stage.
I just think he's good cover. Like Sean O'Sullivan's, for me, Sean O'Sullivan's, Tanner Boyd. How many? We could probably rattle off a few that are just journeyman backups, good solid backups. You probably want them at a pinch if someone gets injured. If they go into the season respectfully to what Sean O'Sullivan's done, if they go into the season with Sean O'Sullivan as the starting half and Lachlan Galvin at 6, that would be highly. I would be worried if I was a Bulldogs fan.
Yeah.
Because then that's when for me it would get confusing.
I think, for me, I just think they need to rip the Band-Aid off. Obviously, you don't want to ruin the young kid's development, but he has been part of the plan since 2-3 years ago. Rip the Band-Aid off, put him at 7, Galvin at 6. I don't want to see Galvin in the 7 jersey, at least for another 3 or 4 years. Like, he's an out-and-out 6. We saw on the weekend, as soon as he got moved to that 6th position, he looked so much more comfortable. I think that they probably, although Connor Tracy had a good most of his season, they probably need to go a tier up in their fullback position, whether that means moving Critter back there full time or a young guy coming through. I reckon the detour they took this year, and I understand why they did it, because Galvin came on the market, but the detour they took this year, I think it's just wobbled them off the path a bit more than they thought it was going to do. I reckon they thought they could ride it quicker, but I'm not going to say it's derailed their whole plan, not at all. I've got faith in Sorrello getting around, but I do think it wobbled them a bit further away, straight from the path further the one. And also, like, here's a question that, like, look, I understand that Galvin was on the market immediately, but I guess the question I have with the Bulldogs, then I go, look, I understand you wanted to get him because he was on the market, you want to go somewhere else, but surely there's a concern from the Bulldogs side, like the fact that got blown up the way it did, and he's not willing to wait to come to the Dogs. That's a bit of a concern too, wouldn't it? Like the fact that he couldn't wait until next year to come to the Dogs, the fact that it all happened to have right now, otherwise we'll go somewhere else. And this is coming from someone that has used the excuse of, I understand why they got Galvin because he had to get purchased now, but it's got to be a give and take there a little bit.
It depends if the Bulldogs weren't on the other side, trying to get it done.
Yeah,
like you don't know what the conversations were like from the Bulldogs to Galvin about pushing. If they were a part of that and they were like, you know what, we've signed for next year, we would love to have you. Whatever the way you go about that, then I think here's another big thing as well with the Bulldogs, and I think this is really important. I think it's more important than any other club. It completely split the fan base.
Oh, mate.
So they had this huge, like, Bulldogs. You could argue, but when the Bulldogs are humming, like, they're as vocal and loud and passionate as any fans. And then they sort of built this team that was like an underdog team that really suited the fabric of the Dogs.
Yep.
And that's what Toby Sexton was. That's what Reid Marnie was. You could see with the passion in which Reid Marnie spoke about leaving the club at the end of the game. And when they signed Lachlan Galvin, I reckon half of the fan base looked at him going, you know what? He looks pretty good over at the Tigers. He could be a long-term half for us. And the other half just went, what are we doing? We're coming first. So I felt like the energy and the juju and all that around the Bulldogs, even at games, was off. And I really think that, like, I think that was a factor. I reckon the Bulldogs, the unease around the playing group, obviously the guys, are saying all the right things, and the players.
Yep.
But there's no way that you can tell me that, and I've been in this situation before, so I can speak on it. Reid Marnie and Toby Sexton just didn't feel like complete outcasts at the squad, in the squad all year.
Yep.
When you've been a part of a team, but they're making these moves, there's no way that you can not tell me that, yeah, they might say the right things. They compete really hard. They're good clubmen. I'm not saying they did anything like that. But just, you've only got to be 5% off in this comp, Kempy. And if you're 5% off, and if a couple of players are 5% off, you can end up losing, 7 of your last 10 games or whatever they ended up losing.
It's a really poor end to the season. Okay, what about this, though? Since 2023, they started the year with Drew Hutchinson as a 7. They brought Sexton down.
When did the Hutchinson start this year? What did you say?
Since 2024.
24.
They started with Drew Hutchinson at 7.
Yep.
They brought Sexton in the year before, I think, and then eventually he got that jersey.
Was it a mid-season 24?
Maybe mid-season 23 even.
Okay.
Potentially. Yep. Then they brought Sexton in for about a year. Now they've moved him on. They brought Galvin in. Looks like they're going to move him to a 6. That's a lot of movement for a key position. And maybe it's all been part of their plan. And I get it. They are in a bit of a rebuild, so they're going to slowly get... It's a lot of changes in key positions in a short space of time. Surely in the perfect world, you would have had a guy that gets you from A to B, and it's one pairing, and then the next pairing that's a bit better is already there waiting. Whereas at the moment, it's kind of been like 3 or 4 blokes have gotten you from A to B, and it's been change. So, look, funnily enough, I think this is all a bit of a distraction as well, though, because I do think their forwards, they need to go out and recruit some more forwards.
Yeah, they need another big bopper,
Yep.
or at least, a middle of note. Leo Thompson's going to be good. I thought Leo Thompson struggled at the start of the year for the Knights. He started to play well at the back end. The consistencies around the Knights and the injuries that he had. He had a few suspensions. He'll add some physicality, but for sure, like, Sitili Tupanua stands out in that forward pack just because he runs hard, runs really hard.
Explosive.
He's explosive.
Yep.
Kurt Mann, physically, he goes after the game, but he's still undersized.
Yeah. Is there a concern Bulldogs' style of rugby league is good in-season rugby league, but it doesn't suit finals footy
for
rugby
sure.
league?
There's a good argument for that, and but this is one thing I don't want to take away from Cameron Ciraldo. Like, he was forced into the small ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all the negativity around Ciro in particular, this is the one part that I'll say. When he did this and was successful with it for a couple of years, we were all like, how good's this? A new form of forward pack. But, like, I thought it was a necessity. Strategically, he went even smaller than a lot of us anticipated. Like, he didn't play guys consistently like Sam Hughes or the other big bot like Lipoi Hopoi or all these sorts of players. Instead, he went with Kurt Mann, Bailey Hayward, and Josh Curran on a bench, and you'd be going, "What's going on here? He doesn't have any front rowers." Now, you're right, Campy. I think that holds up well during the regular season because it's a draining season. Fatigue sets in. The big boys probably don't play as consistently. I'm talking about the big boy. Don't include Payne Haas and Tino Fa'asuamaleaui in there. Like, they're outliers. But majority of the props don't play consistently like that week in, week out, where if you're a smaller body, probably got a bigger engine. But once it gets to finals, like, it was evident that Moses Leota was the alpha on the field during that game in the first 25 minutes.
Right.
Evident. And he's been doing that for a while. But when he plays against the Broncos or the Raiders or some of the other teams, he's still Moses Leota. But he looked like everyone. It looked like the other team with New South Wales Cup, respectfully, to the
absolutely. And you look at that Bulldogs pack and you go, who is the Moses Leota of their pack? Now, I'm sure they're planning for Leo Thompson to be that guy. I will say, although I've seen a lot of potential in Leo Thompson, I haven't seen him be that guy just yet.
He hasn't done it for long periods.
Yeah, a game here or there, but to be that guy, you've got to do it, longer than that.
Fair.
And so, look, we'll see what happens. I'm a big believer in Ciraldo, though. Like, I think that whether it's a year or 2 years from now, I think they're probably going to have to take a couple steps back to take 2 steps forward. One step back to take 2 steps forwards. But I do think that he will eventually right the ship and it'll come together as planned. All right, we're going to head to a break. Plenty more to talk about after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. And just quickly before we move off the doggies, I've got to say, the Gould father, he's back at it. Basically saying that it's crazy that people are talking so much about Lockie Galvin and, it's being talked about way too much and the media's just gone crazy with it all. I've got to say, and listen, it's the Gould father, baby. He's the master. I've got to say, when you sign someone that you yourself have said it's the best young player you've ever seen, on top of that, he blows his contract up mid-year, comes to the number one team in the comp, and you move on your current 7. That's worth a talking point all year long. That is, and then you go 7 from 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been hysterical at all. I think it's been pretty bang on. It's been a big talking point. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not excusing people that have gone too far in the comment section or whatever. But I think it's been pretty reasonable talking points.
I tread very carefully around Uncle Gus.
Oh,
I don't mess with Uncle Gus. No, I'm kidding. No, you're right, Kempy, for all those things that you just said. But it's a part of what he does as well. Like, his job, he's in the media, so he's got a position where he can have his say. He's trying to all the best leaders of clubs in whatever different roles they do. They try to take the bullets. They try to take as much as they can to take the pressure away from the players. Essentially, that's what he's trying to do from Lachlan Galvin. So even though I totally agree with you,
it's his job to deflect.
It's his job to deflect. He's the OG deflector.
Oh, bro.
He's the triple, quadruple OG deflector.
Seriously, he's unbelievable. So, alrighty, let's get into text here. Is Critter or Burton a chance to in the forwards? No, I don't think so. I think they're out and out. I mean, you're talking about 2 Dally M centres. Like,
if you move either of them to the forwards, they wouldn't be. They would be doing a Lachlan Galvin. They'd be getting out of that situation.
No. What do the Dogs do with Mitch Woods? I don't think he wants to be Rezzy's behind Galvin for 10 years. I don't think Galvin's a 7.
I think that's the combination that they envisioned.
That's
to be honest.
I personally, and I think that they had either always envisioned Burton would move to centre, or they'd always envisioned that Burton would price himself out of what they're trying to build there.
Yeah. So if they move him to centre, then obviously they would attempt to sign him for centre money compared to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But like in my heart of hearts, that's what I think their plan is.
Okay, here's a tough
If
question.
I was to
though.
predict what like Gus has been trying to attempting to sort of build there, it's Woods and Galvin.
Has Galvin shown any evidence that he's a better 6 than Burton?
There's been moments, but no.
So it's like this idea that it's just a fait accompli. Like he's absolutely this means it's
That was a good word
unreal.
too.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Fait
you happy
accompli.
with that word?
Yeah, thanks. It's not so sure. It's not so sure.
And here's the thing, and this is like Matty Burton is a top tier 6. I think he's an elite centre too.
Oh, he's a gun.
So that's the problem that you have when you have the talent like Matty Burton has. I've seen players in that position before. They become a victim of their versatility.
Yeah, kind of like the old Hosdog. Hey?
Yeah, big Hosdog could move around. That's why I moved around to clubs because they just couldn't quite figure me out.
Oh, victim of your own versatility. Okay, Scope, cash out and reinvest. Oh, we've already read that one. Hey, lads, Dan here. I'd love to see Broncos versus Sharks final. Would be so good for the game because anything could happen. I think a Storm Penrith fan final obviously would be great too, but we've seen that. For your information, Kempy, the bloke jocks are so good, real comfy for my meat and 2 veggies. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, well, I mean, we've got this. The bloke undies are still on the website, bloke.shop. There you go. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. You're completely right, Beak. Ricky's Raiders were ahead of the plan and put the foot down. The Dogs were ahead of the plan and threw out the anchor because they didn't know what to do. Okay. Men, I must make a confession. I put $100 multi on January. Tottenham to win Europa. Check. Piastri to win F1 Drivers' Championship. Looking good. Broncos to win Premiership. I cashed out when the Broncos were going like busted dogs for $800. The potential payout is $37K. I'm a Broncos fan, and it's a bittersweet feeling I have, George.
Piastri's pretty much home, boys, right? F1.
Oh,
He's got a race lead with about 10 to go.
Well, maybe just because he's an Aussie. Because every time he wins, I always see Piastri. I assumed he was.
He's the favourite.
He's the favourite.
He's the favourite.
Okay.
I feel like in F1, like if you've been the best all season, you very rarely just become terrible.
You fall off. You very rarely fall off the cliff late, right?
Because the car, it's usually it's not just the car, but the car is a big reason as to why you're going so well.
Yeah.
Okay, got some more text here. Galvin is a lock, not a half or 5'8". I can see Gus turning Galvin into a hooker or a lock. He's no elite speed. He has great hands and vision, but no bomb or long kick. Average short kicking game as well. I don't think so. I think Galvin's a 5'8".
He's definitely not a hooker.
Yeah.
Galvin's taller than me.
He's tall. He's a rangy man. I don't think he's a lock either, to be honest. Probably. He actually did play a bit of back row, but I actually think for at least the next 5 to 6 years, he's an out-and-out number 6.
If he was to play lock, he would have to put on 10 kilos immediately.
Seriously.
He would have to put on 10 kilos this preseason.
And I think as well, like, I understand where you're coming from, mate, in regards to average short kicking game, all that, but this kid's like 20 years old. Like, he's so young.
Yeah.
Like, it's not normal for a 19-year-old to be as highly touted as he is. And so, and I know you're not saying this, but just for the wider audience, like give him a bit of time to work on his game. Like even Nathan Cleary, I always go back to Cleary. There was a year where Cleary and Nathan and Ivan, the Penrith Panthers fans wanted them gone. They were playing so poorly. And I know people will try to rewrite history. I promise you there was so much pressure for Ivan and Nathan Cleary to be gone. And look what happened there, I mean, Ivan was talking about bloody walking away from coaching. That's how bad it got. And look where they're at now. All right, we're going to head to a break. After break, plenty more to talk about. All righty, welcome back to the Captain's Run. Storm v. the Sharks. Listen, for me, this is all just about controlling the ruck for the Sharkies. They cannot afford to allow the Melbourne Storm to get quick play the balls because it doesn't matter how good your systems are. It doesn't matter how well you can back up and you cover tackles, all that kind of stuff. If you give Harry Grant half a chance with that spine, they will put points on you. And so it's just all about somehow winning the ruck, slowing the ruck down. What do you reckon? What's Storm's way to victory? Sharks' way to victory for you, mate.
Sharks' way to victory, just be doing what they've been doing. They've almost been playing like counter footy to begin with, whether in the Storm, whether in the Melbourne, if you like. Taking, just letting the opposition going all the way back to the Bulldogs in the last round. I talked about this on the potty on Monday as well. It's like they just sit there. They're in a title fight. They're almost like you like your boxing, Kempy?
Oh yeah.
Like, Mayweather would give away the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Download the information, baby.
Just get all that information
Yep.
and then just go bang, 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 start chipping away, take their shots, and then win unanimously at the end. That's what they've been doing for the last 3 weeks. Even against the Roosters, I thought, they finished strong. Toby goes over the top. But, as soon as they sort of, after about the 20-minute mark of the second half, when the Roosters couldn't put any points on, it didn't feel like they were going to win that game at all. So they're going to have to do that against the Storm. Now, this is a different team. This is a team that knows how to play finals. This is a team that has premiership winners littered all the way through it. You can't really focus in on any one player now that Jerome Hughes and Pappenhausen are back. So it's going to be extremely difficult, but I just think they're feeling themselves at the moment.
Okay. Now the next game, Broncos v Panthers. I love the fact, and this is old Broncos DNA. When he was asked, how are you going to handle Cleary? Reece Walsh said, how's he going to handle us? And look, it doesn't make sense because we haven't been able to handle Cleary. But that's the old Broncos arrogance that I want. I want him to speak like that because you've got to believe in yourself. How do you see this one, mate?
Do we anticipate any changes? Do we think...
Yes, Ezra will come into 6, in my opinion, Hunt tonight.
You reckon? Yeah, okay.
And I think Smoothie won't start. I think it'll be Hetherington.
I reckon Smoothie might take a little bit of sting out of the game.
Okay.
And therefore, compared to anyone else that's on the bench, he just can add a bit of a tip, a little bit more of a tip than what Kobe Hetherington and Willison can, because I don't think you can.
We miss it with Carrigan out.
You can't be stuck just, mate. Moses Leota, Mitch Kenny, Liam Martin, they'll come shooting out of the line. So if you don't have a guy that can just put a nice little tip on, because Jensen doesn't really have it, Haas doesn't have it, no one else has it. So I think maybe Smoothie starts on with you. I would start Ezra Mam. If there's a player that the Penrith Panthers, I wouldn't say fear because they don't fear anyone. He had arguably the second best 15 minutes of all time in a grand final ever, and still got beaten. So he's the player that can cause some carnage. I'm a little bit worried about Liam Martin's health out of the two, between Liam Martin and Casey McLean. I seen your post because I think the Channel 9 cameras caught it as they were heading up the tunnel. I'm a little bit worried about Liam Martin. He might be able to play, but he won't be the Liam Martin that maybe we all have known and expect.
Liam Martin doesn't go off unless it's something serious.
100%.
And it's just he's old school.
That's what I said about Critter the week before, right? And then Critter doesn't end up playing. I know it was the back end of the game, they had a big lead, so that you've got to factor that in. That's definitely something you've got to factor in. But I reckon, in my heart of hearts, I think he's done his rib cartilage, not shoulder. That's what that's what I think. And you can needle it, and you can play with pain. He'll be able to do that, but he won't be the Liam Martin that's shooting out the line, bashing people. I think it might affect him just ever so slightly.
I reckon he's got broken ribs. All right, we're going to head to a break and skip a scope. We'll see you later, man. Thank you.
All right, Kempy.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run, powered by Lontel Internet. That's right. Go to lontel.net.au. Get the best internet in all the land. Thanks to NBN Co as well. Basically, no lock-in contracts, no credit cards. They have some of the fastest internet you can get in this country. You will not be disappointed. Go to lontel.net.au/bloke. And check it out. There's a 7-day free trial. And then after that, if you use the code bloke, you get $25 credit as well. And it's so good because you can pause it. Let's say you go away for 2 weeks, pause your internet. You don't have to pay for it. Or let's say you want to download something crazy. You can crank up the speeds, download it really quickly, and then turn it back down. You only pay for what you use. Okay, Broncos coach Michael Maguire has taken one of the biggest selection gambles of his career, recalling Mam for Sunday's preliminary final blockbuster against Panthers. I've got to say, so when they announced a few days after that Storm game that he was out for the season, that's when I knew he'd be back. Because why would you say that unless because it was about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. The only reason they said they were definitely out for the rest of the year is because they didn't want headlines constantly, Ezra might be back, Ezra might not be back. And I think the Broncos have played this really smart because, now we're talking about this huge risk and, is he right? But I feel like they always knew that he was going to be sweet within 6 weeks. And I feel like it's kind of taken away this constant questioning about Ezra Mam coming back into the side. I mean, look what Reynolds did last week. There was all these questions about Reynolds coming back into the side. So I think they've handled it really smart. In regards to the positional changes, I got to say, I spoke about it earlier, but I love the fact, though, getting all these questions about how are the Broncos going to handle Nathan Cleary. And Reece Walsh, he turns around and says how they're going to handle us. That, to me, that is old school Broncos attitude. That is an attitude of arrogance, cockiness. You can call it whatever you want, confidence, whatever you want to call it. You can even say, does it even make sense? You're talking about the 4-time premiers. There's been no team that's been able to handle them. But it doesn't have to make sense. It's better going in with that mentality than going in going, I don't know. If the Broncos go in already beaten, like it's the Mike Tyson effect. They go in, they walk up, they look at Mike Tyson and they go, okay, he's definitely going to bash me. It's Mike Tyson. And so I love that from Reece Walsh, and I think it's just a really good evidence of the mindset Michael Maguire has these young fellas in, going, no, don't worry about them. They need to worry about us. I will say, and there is a degree of, like, you do have to worry about Reece Walsh. You do have to worry about Ezra Mam. You do have to worry about Payne Haas. On the flip side, with the Penrith Panthers, it's just more motivation. It's more, okay, you want to go toe-to-toe with the best we've ever seen? Let's do it. And how the Penrith Panthers win this, all they have to do is play conservatively. Wait for the Broncos to make the errors. Wait for the Broncos to force their hand to go on the big plays. And, you don't want to hope and cross fingers. The Panthers don't do that. But you basically want the Broncos to go. You want to say to the Broncos, if you beat us, it will be one of the best games you've ever played. You don't want to get into a slinging match with them. You don't want to get brought down into this, low completion rate, which they won't. The Panthers, we know what they're going to play. They're going to complete all their sets, and they're going to build and build and build pressure. I will say the scary thing about this Panthers side, though, is how many points they're putting on early in games, especially against the Dogs. Usually, past years, not every year, but a lot of the years, about 3 out of the 4, their attack would be okay, and usually they'd grind a team down, score a lot of points in the last 20. Whereas we're seeing that attack improve, which is really, really scary. So with the Broncos, I think that you've got to go in thinking it's got to be the game of your life. There's been times where we've heard coaches go, it's a grand final, we just try to keep it as normal as possible. I don't think you can keep it normal. These are professional athletes that from day dot of preseason have been building towards this moment. If they get rattled by saying it's too big for us, then they're not the right athletes to get a premiership. It is not another game. It's a grand final rematch. It is a season-defining game. It will basically, I personally think, I don't know, I'm not saying they definitely will, but I think whoever wins this game could be the favourite to win the premiership in the grand final. And so, listen, I really like what I'm seeing from the Broncos. The Penrith Panthers, they are just absolutely red hot. It'll be one of the greatest premiership wins ever. To be sitting last, round 12 or 11, and upskill these rookies to a point where they are becoming unstoppable, it is nothing short of incredible. If Ivan Cleary wins his 5th premiership in a row, look, I understand, I'll go down swinging. Craig Bellamy is the greatest ever player developer. Wayne Bennett, his ability to transcend generation is what's so special about him. And also his ability, he went to multiple clubs to win premierships. But I think if he's to win 5 premierships, we have to start talking about Ivan Cleary as, if not the greatest, in the top 2 or 3. I personally think it's hard not to say he's the GOAT. 5 in a row in this era of rugby league. If you look at that side from 2020 to now, it has been completely gutted. All the juniors have been gutted. And they're still here heading into this game, heavy favourites. What do you reckon, Maestro?
I love the way you've built that game up, Kepi. I'm excited for it. We're sitting here on Wednesday afternoon, mate. Can I pick a few holes in your Broncos? Is that okay?
Of course, yeah.
Is that acceptable?
There's plenty. Yeah, there's plenty.
Okay. First up, is Mam 100% fit? Why has he been named on the bench? I'm as big a fan of the smoke screen around selections and getting, basically putting your opponents offside in what's going to be coming at them. Are you confident if he starts at 6, he'll be able to get through the game? Do you truly think that's their best option to getting a result rather than going the Reynolds-Hunt combination in the halves?
Absolutely. Who's the best 6 at the club?
Well, it's Ezra Mam. I'll agree with you on that point.
You could even argue who's the best half at the club, right now in their career.
Yeah.
When Ezra Mam came back, I'm not saying he's better 7 than Reynolds, but I'm just saying halves are 6s and 7s. When he came back, he changed the season. I just think that if he's not good to go, and also we're not talking about a rookie anymore with Ezra Mann. We're talking about a guy that's 3 or 4 years. We're talking about a guy who had one of the best 20 minutes we've ever seen in a grand final. So I just think bringing him off the bench, especially when you've got a lineup that can have someone that's used to coming off the bench, I just think it's pointless. Like, get him starting. If he looks underdone and he can't make it, bring someone else on. You've always got Benny Hunt can go to 6. You've always got Corey Pakes that can start, or vice versa. I just think I'd be surprised if he doesn't start. I understand, smoke and mirrors. People go, oh, why do you do that? In these big games, like during the season, I don't really get it. In these big games, if there is just 0.01% chance that someone's mindset just isn't fully clicked into gear and they see Ezra run out and they feel a little bit less confident, when they see Ben Hunt, they look up and they go, okay, for speed, I got him. I'm going to be okay. They look up and they see Ezra Mann, and there's just a small part of them says, we didn't prepare as well as we could have for Ezra. Even the slightest minuscule advantage, you've got to take it where you can. And the Broncos are going to need every advantage that they can get. Because
Patrick Carrigan is out. Oh. And so Smoothie's starting at lock. Big body, guy who can play there, but he's not Paddy Carrigan.
Oh, man.
Are you a fan of that over what was the change everyone was expecting? Right?
Well, probably Hetherington.
Hetherington?
Yeah, Hetherington. I guess the problem is Carrigan's ball playing around the ruck. Yeah. And Smoothie, he will do that. Look, Smoothie does defend in the line, regularly as a 9. Yeah. So the tough thing is when you're going up against guys like Leota and Lindsay Smith.
I can't believe the Panthers, was it Brando's stat that Matty brought to you during the week about his record in daytime football?
Leota or Cleary?
Cleary.
Yeah.
Hasn't lost a game since 2019.
Bro, it's just, we're looking at the greatest team of all time. Like, it's to be honest, in my opinion, it's not even an argument.
Yeah.
Like, bro, a team with Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, and Munster in it couldn't go back-to-back.
Yeah.
These guys have gone back-to-back twice, and they're in their sixth. If they beat the Broncos, they'll be in their 6th grand final. Now, if you want to make the argument of there are teams in a one-off game, like could Cam Smith and that crew beat this Penrith side in a one-off grand final? Probably, because we've seen what they did at Origin, which is a tier above. Or not probably, but they'd have a very, very fair crack. Being the greatest side ever is not just about one game's one-off. It's about consistency. It's about durability. It's about being... Think about the amount of video that is done on the Penrith Panthers. And in the early 2000s, when I was at the Broncos, every game, every time people played the Broncos then, it was a grand final for them because they were the big dogs. They'd won all those premierships, obviously the early 90s, the late 90s, early 2000s. And so every time they played the Broncos, it was like a grand final. Think about the Penrith Panthers. When people get wins over the Penrith Panthers, they're cheering like they've won a elimination finals game. And yet they have still managed to do what they do. It is just nothing short. With the amount of video we have on teams, with the amount of techniques that we have to slow the ruck down, to shut things down, and they still are too dominant. And the reason why they're still too dominant is because they're fitter and faster than every team. That's why. Because you cannot, no technique, there's no technique you can use to beat someone that's fitter than you. Because what they'll do is they'll run at such a pace that you just can't keep up. Now, if you're going technique for technique, then you might go back and forth and it's the smartest team who wins. But Penrith Panthers have built this dynasty on match fitness. They've built this dynasty on ball in play. And that's where I think if you can almost just mess their rhythms up, like kick it out. Like, not on the full, obviously. Kick it out.
But do something different.
Slow the game down.
Yeah.
Get the stops and starts because the Broncos, they don't want it. We don't want ball in play. No. We want set plays. We want Reece Walsh, almost like an NFL wide receiver or something like that, where he is fresh every time he touches the ball. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a lot of Reynolds trying to get the ball over the touchline, little things that you can do to slow the game down. Because once the Penrith Panthers get into a flow, they're just the best because they are fitter than every team in the comp. And not only off one preseason, fitness is built over years. The amount of fitness that they've built up over the last 5 years, they are leaps and bounds ahead of the next best team. Leaps and bounds. Okay, I got some text here. It's hard to compare Ivan Cleary to Craig Bellamy simply because Craig brought in unknown players, developed them into superstars, whereas Ivan, a group of young players who have played together since they were kids and developed them all together at the same time. But he didn't. Ivan Cleary got sacked and he left the club. He was also at the Warriors till 2011 or something like that.
Yep.
Goes back to the Panthers, gets sacked, goes to the Tigers, comes back to that club. And also, these guys, like, that first year, they weren't Origin players. It was only Nathan Cleary as an Origin player. And so, and also, to suggest that Smith, Billy Slater, and Cronk didn't play together through the grades, they did at North Devils. That's what made them so special, is they had played so much. So, look, I think what makes Craig Bellamy so special is he's done it over 20 years. That's what is special about Bellamy. Like, you know, if Ivan Cleary is still doing this in 20 years, like, then we can have that convo. But yeah, it's very hard to say. Very hard.
Can I
to
throw that text that we've got next to that one at you from 850? Really like it. Kempy, big fan of the show. After listening to your recent interview with Tom Jenkins, I was wondering how you, having been coached by Ivan Cleary in your career, think he has improved from your time with him. And if you think, I think you've talked about that, the development side of the Penrith is unrivaled by any in history. But growth in Ivan, I know it's hard not being in the room, but I assume he's a very different coach now to when you were under him back in 2009.
Yeah, I talk about this all the time on the potty, where we often give players the grace to improve. We never give coaches the grace to improve. We never sit there and go, he's a rookie coach, give him 4 or 5 years, he'll be much better. It just doesn't happen because they don't have enough time. And with Ivan Cleary, I just think he's gotten better at communicating.
Yeah.
Like, he's always been a really smart coach. Like, I think that the mid part of his career fooled people into thinking that he was just a mid coach, like he's just a good, solid coach. When he went to the Warriors, he was a young gun, or honestly, like a Serraldo or a Webster.
Yep.
He took a Warriors side to a grand final in 2011. The year before I went to the Warriors, they got to like a prelim or something like that. Since he left the Warriors, outside of this recent success they've essentially had no success. He goes back to Penrith. You could say, you know, things didn't work out as well as they could have. And then he's fulfilled his destiny. You know, he was always one of the best coaches, young coaches coming through. You know, he learnt so much over these years, and it's just a testament to his resilience, really. I think it's his communication.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, as I said, he's always been a super intelligent coach. It's hard, though, to kind of judge, though, because, like, when I was getting coached by him, it's not like I was the best at communication either.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe I was hard to communicate with. So I'm sitting here saying communication, but he's getting, mate, you were the worst ever to communicate with. But I reckon that's probably it. I reckon communication is the key to being a great coach. I think anything less, you're just never going to be a great coach. All right, we're going to head to a break. We're going to get into the Melbourne Storm. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All righty, the Melbourne Storm v. the Cronulla Sharks. Listen, I have the Storm favourites, and I wouldn't go as far to say they're flying under the radar, because they're not flying under the radar. However, what I don't think is the full weight of it is being spoken about. Mate, that spine is back together. That full-strength spine is back together. And also, they're essentially full strength as it is. Like, you could argue Nelson Asafa-Solomona not in there, but, you know, he's been in and out of the season, team all year. That's what's scary about this Storm side. If they click, they can do something very scary in this final series, because, you know, that attack at full tilt, it's almost impossible to stop. And so that's something that it's being spoken about, but just, I guess, because the Sharkies have been on such a good run, and you never want to take anything away from the Sharkies, as you guys know, like, I've been glazing the Sharkies all year long. But I just think that the Sharkies in good form is still going to be a real problem for them if the Storm click. Even the Sharkies at their best, if the Storm click, it could be a 13-pluser. Like, that's how crazy that spine is. Now, in regards to battle hardened, though, about grinding games out, if it does get bogged in the mud, mate, the Sharkies have been doing that for weeks now. Like, they are thriving in the mud. They are loving the dirt. They're welcoming it. You know, that 20 minutes of defence they did on the line against the Raiders, a much bigger forward pack, a much more explosive forward pack. They were fine. Didn't panic. Didn't stress out. Nico Hines looks confident as anything. Brayley looks confident as anything. Trindle looks confident as anything. So, as I said, it really is, and you could say this about every game, but it is truly about winning the ruck. If they can just get an extra 0.2 seconds average per play the ball, that can be the difference between winning and losing for them. Because if you can just slow the ruck down a little bit for the Storm, it throws everything out for them. Because they don't necessarily, even though Stefano's come on leaps and bounds, But outside of Stefano, they don't necessarily have forwards off a slow play the ball that can blitz you. And a lot of their tries are basically they're falling over the line because they've just got so much momentum. Like Harry Grant just gets out and he's just got forwards flooding around him and they just fall over the line. And so it's all about winning the ruck. It's all about – but the Storm – this is what the Storm do so well is they spread it early in the tackle count. They land on your 3, which splits your defence. Because a lot of people say, okay, if you want to win the ruck, you tighten up your defence and you have smaller spacing. Therefore, you're hitting with 2 people. But if you do that, the Storm will go, we're going to spread it. We're going to split your defence out wide. And then once these spaces between the defences are bigger, that's where we find our holes. That's where we find our front. Once we find a quick play of the ball, we've got Pappy, we've got Munster, we've got Hughes just flooding through the middle with Harry Grant. And so it's just about finding ways to shut down, especially like I don't think they can afford to be passive coming out of their own end. And I know it's risky, but I feel like the Storm want you to be passive because it's not about that play for the Storm. When they spread it and land on that 3 defender, it's not about that play. It's about the 2 plays after that. Whereas if you can somehow find a way to get line speed and shut it down from the halfback or, the wide running forward, it just completely derails their momentum of their set. Now, easier said than done because it's risky, especially coming out of their own end. Maestro, how do you see this one, mate?
I'm really excited by what the Sharks did on the weekend. You spoke about that 20-minute period of goal line defence. Now, I don't think they're going to have it quite as easy this week for all those reasons you outlined. But the other thing was the way they took their opportunity when it came their way. The way they were so deadly that basically had 2 opportunities to strike at the end of that first half, and they did it. And a lot of that was based off the work of Nico Hines getting to the other side of the ruck.
Yep.
But particularly for the Mulatalo try, he directs everybody to stay out there because he's coming.
Yeah.
And the way he and Trindle linked up for that try was just brilliant. Like, it was Nico at his best.
Yeah.
I know the Storm are aware of what he can do, and I know they probably don't have a weak spot like the Raiders did. That was all the talk going into the game. The right edge versus what the Sharks are going to be able to do down their left. That proved exactly where the game was won and lost. I wonder if the Sharks are going to be able to identify something similar in the Storm defence. I don't think there's a glaring weakness like that. You reckon?
Storm right side is weak.
Okay.
That's been their Achilles heel for a few years. Is it as weak as the Raiders? Obviously not.
No.
Nowhere near. I would like to see Storm run Adam Fanor-Blake at Hughes like multiple times to start the game. Hopefully rattle him. Hopefully get him a mindset of going like, oh, geez, that hurt more than I thought it was going to hurt. If you actually go back and watch that Broncos game where Broncos won, first chance they went down there, Payne Haas ran straight at Hughes. And I think that's what the the Sharks should be doing, running straight at Hughes, building pressure. But yeah, it's just about what kind of game it is. You just don't want it as a fast track. Because I just don't think, if it's fast track and it's fast play the balls, I just don't think they can go with them. However, I will say, very uncharacteristic of the Sharkies to be so clinical with minimal opportunities. Like Sharkies usually grind to win.
Exactly.
But they got minimal. Like it was almost a bit like the Broncos where you give them half a gap and they run the whole field, which is it's exciting from the Sharkies' perspective because it hasn't been like that for quite a while. I can't wait for this game. I really, really can't. It's just going to be so special. So special. Got some texts here. Afternoon, boys. On the Ivan topic, people are sleeping on what he's done this year. Was last after round 12 without a home ground. The last 5 years, Penrith have lost 1, maybe 2 home grounds this year. This year took a home game to Vegas, and Magic Round was Penrith home game as well. Ivan is coach of the year, full spot, Red Panther. Yeah, it's a weird one because, mate, if he gets into a grand final, how do you not give him coach of the year? It's his 6th grand final in a row. He's coming last mid-year, but at the same time, how do you not give coach of the year to the bloke that had the most money on them to come last and they won the minor premiership?
I always think it's such a funny award because you talk about Dally M Player of the Years and, that gets taken into a player's resume of what they've done in their career. For coaches, there's one number that matters. Yeah. And it's not, no one remember who won Dally M Coach of the Year.
Nah.
No, last year. It's premierships, baby.
That's all that matters.
It's premierships,
all that matters. All right, we're going to head to a break. After break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, powered by Lontel Internet, the best in the game. If you want to be a wizard online, or even if you just want good, solid internet with the 5 years running, the best customer service. My internet, so we had a power outage at the studio. They called us to see if we were okay. They called us. That's never happened in anything I've ever done in my life, where they literally call it, is everything all right? How can we help you? It wasn't even the internet that went. It was the power that went. Incredible stuff. Go to lontel.net.au/bloke. Okay, huge news. Sydney Morning Herald reporting Nawaqanitawase has informed the Sydney Roosters he intends to leave the club at the end of 2026 to return to Union. Nawaqanitawase is expected to snub Australia's Super Rugby franchise in favour of playing rugby overseas. A change in Rugby Australia's rules will allow him to represent the Wallabies in 2027. He is set to earn a spot in the Australian Kangaroos 22-man touring squad to England this year. Ashes series after ARLC chair Peter Vlandis confirmed he would not stand in the way of selectors and was hoping to see the player in a Kangaroos jumper. Look, I've got a great text here that I'm a big tinfoil hat guy, so I don't mind it. This is from, I don't have a name here. Hey boys, tinfoil hat. Do you think Marky Mark was a deliberate plant by the ARU to get eyes on rugby? Love that. Sleeper cell. Marky Mark, a sleeper cell, you reckon? I love that. Jeez, that is eyes up footy, I tell you what. Getting Suali'i and trading him for Nawaqanitawase essentially, but then getting both in the end. Okay, is ARU playing chess and we're playing checkers?
I don't know if they wanted him to go overseas to play club rugby. I can tell you that much.
Wow.
There's only one winner out of this, Dennis, and it's Marky Mark.
Oh, man.
His value's gone up by 2 mil.
Mate, he is going to get whatever he wants, probably over in France or something like that,
Yes.
living the absolute dream. Sleeper cell ARU. I tell you what, that is a great yarn. I'm going to run with it. I'm running with it. Sleeper cell, they stole Suali'i. They've stolen Nawaqanitawase. Look, I thought he'd stay just because, maybe obviously because of my bias towards rugby league. I think that it probably was one of those deals where if you come, you're not playing for another club to a degree. Like, I don't think it would have been official, but we know what the Roosters are like. Like, if we take a punt on you, if we bring you in, you're a Rooster for life kind of thing. Will he be back? I don't think so. If he's come for essentially a year and a half and he's already like, I want to go live in France and get paid $1 million a year, I think that's just his nature. Like, he probably wants to live overseas. He wants to, I will say as well, like, don't get me wrong, Union is super hard. Like, at times it's way harder than league. Is the training as hard as league though? That's another part you've got to look at, especially for outside backs. I'd say for forwards it probably is. Especially those scrums. My God, holy moly, those scrums are crazy. But for outside backs, is the preseason as physically demanding for the outside backs of Union? Look, I think that probably done for good in league with what he's going to get overseas. He's going to go back and kill it in rugby union. I'm happy for him. Seems like a great kid. You know what? He came over, he delivered. He's going to go back to Union. I want the Wallabies to go good in 2027, so I'm happy for him.
And there's a big run coming in Australian rugby that they can put on the table for someone like him, where you've got a home World Cup in 2027, you've got an Olympic Games, he's already competed in one, Olympic Games 2028, and then a home Olympics in Brisbane 2032 if he can get that far.
Yep.
For a guy with Mark's talent, you'd be silly not to. I get the draw of rugby league, and he's spoken very highly of his time at the Roosters, has been part of basically getting them back into a final series that they weren't expected to make when a lot of those players dropped out. I know you weren't one of them, Kempy, but...
No, when they dropped out, I had them at 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was wrong.
As were we all.
Yes. Good question, though. If the rule didn't change for the Wallabies in regards to being able to play overseas, I don't think he does go back.
Of course he doesn't. That's been so critical. As someone who comes from a soccer background, like, that has always been the most bewildering thing to me about rugby is why on earth would you not pick guys just because they're not playing in your competition? You've got to get out on the field, win the Bledisloe back, baby, for the first time since, 02?
Oh, look, I think it's just to keep their comp alive. Because they know they can't compete with these huge clubs overseas with these huge, budgets,
But the Wallabies are still a big brand. Kempy, you talk about, like, this Kangaroos tour. I'm excited to see if he goes on that.
I'm talking about Super Rugby.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But the Wallabies are still the big money maker. I know you've got to have a stable national comp to bring money in, but at the end of the day, the Wallabies are the money spinner. Look at the Lions tour. Look at what's going to happen to the Bledisloe this year. And that's every year.
But also, if you go away, you can earn $1 million at this club and also the Wallabies money.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. So the reason why they stopped people from doing that, because if they brought this rule in 10 years ago, Super Rugby would have just collapsed. Everyone would just have bounced straight away and said, I'm going overseas. Look what we're seeing at the moment. Like, it's probably going to get to the point where, because they've relaxed this rule, where none of the best players will be playing Super Rugby. They'll all go to a certain league. It's kind of like if you want to be the best soccer player, you got to be in the Spanish league.
Yeah.
Or the EPL, obviously. So be like the EPL, and then what would you say the Spanish league's the second best?
Yeah, probably.
And really, it's like all of our best A-League players.
Yeah, don't stay.
They don't stay.
Mm.
They're like when they get 16 and they got a bit of talent, boom, they're Gonskis. And I think that's what's going to happen with Super Rugby. So you could make the argument, does it hurt Super Rugby in the long term? Yes. But was that a dead business anyway?
Yeah. And that's the point I'm getting at. Is like you got rid of that rule. Were people staying anyway? The reason they've had to get rid of that rule is because it wasn't working.
Yeah. People
were leaving anyway, and then you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face.
And also, you've got this Super Rugby that's losing tens of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Now the question is, though, is development. You know, the grassroots stuff that you're going to have to invest in, that clubs probably had a big say in, all these systems. That's going to be a tough one for the clubs.
Can I put a 360 talking point to you? Are you happy with him going on the Kangaroos tour now that he'll be going? Loyalty to the
No, I don't.
NRL?
It's loyalty to your country first and foremost. And I just think it looks a bit childish when you do stuff like that.
Agree.
Like to be honest, it looks like you're insecure.
I agree.
If you were to say Marky Mark can't play for Australia, you're basically saying we're worried about Union getting the better of the deal. Whereas if you go, yeah, of course he can play, you're saying we don't fear Union at all, kind of thing.
And if you come over, Max Jorgensen, hello, there's space for you, buddy.
There's space, and also think of the headlines. It would just help Union. If you say to Marky Mark, you can't play for Australia, he'll get even more headlines for league scared of Union. Then the ARU head boss will come out, start talking crap, and then Landies will go back and forth, and all of a sudden we've given him all this free press. I think that no worries at all him playing, and I want to see the best Australian side. As I said, I think loyalty to your nation should come before your sport. So you should go loyalty to nation, sport, local league, friends, children, wife.
You've got a real insight into your priorities.
Local league. So I guess we'll see what happens with Nawaqanitawase, see where he ends up. Okay, got some text here. Hey, Denon, training is heaps harder in rugby. Have you ever tried training after having 22 schooners and 8 rums and cokes? I know you only played for the Rebels in Union, so you probably too busy taking selfies in the mirror, but having 5 to 10 rums post-football playing is hard work. I actually didn't play for the Rebels, but I appreciate that. I just went down there for a day. Got another text here. G'day, boys. Enjoying the show. Regarding Marky. Conversely, if he is picked up in the Kangaroos, perhaps it will ignite some additional interest amongst rugby union fans in UK, and we can display what a better game league is. Good luck to Mark wherever he goes. Rough Red, yeah, that's a fair point too. Clubs that are looking for Marky Mark and maybe signing him, maybe they watch the international game there as well. Another text here: will Bellamy outcoach Nico Hines, or will Bellamy get outplayed by Hines? Look, Bellamy has outcoached nearly every player in the game. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. There'll be some certain tactics. Another one with the Brisbane Broncos that we didn't really speak about, and I think that you've got to look at Origin and what Queensland do to Cleary. Like, what do Queensland? They give him no time. They just give him no time. I think you've got to make sure that every time he is about to catch the ball, someone is landing on him. I think that's an area in Origin that they just do so well with their line speed. And he has to take extra steps back, and that throws all his systems out. So that's something that I think that we'll probably see with Nico, where it'll be, hopefully, from a Storm perspective, the wide running forward just landing straight on him every single time. Got last text here before we go to a break. I have a vague recollection that Matt Rogers said that during his stint in rugby, he missed week in, week out routine of the NRL. Phil. Okay, we're going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Got some texts here. Come on, Kempy. As for Mark Alphabet, just allow him to play for Australia, but doesn't mean you have to select him. Would anyone complain if someone who played rugby league all his life with a dream to play for New South Wales and Australian was selected, such as Jacob Kiraz? Great finisher, great in the air, great in defence, and the most offloads this season. That's who we should be selecting, not someone who has played one season and then says he's going back to Union. Now, before I say who sent this text message, what team do you reckon they support? That's right.
Guess.
It's from Bulldog Ben. Bulldog Bob. It's from Bulldog Bob. So there's look, there might be a chance. There's a little bit of bias there. Listen, I'm a big fan of Kiraz. I think he's had a great, an outstanding season, but he hasn't been as good as Nawaqanitawase. I think that you pick the best players for Australia. Your loyalty to your club should come second to loyalty to your nation, in my opinion. Boys, old news, but PVL has already said Markey will be available for Kangaroo selection. Old news. It was just today, wasn't it?
We said it.
Yep.
You said it when you opened the segment.
Yeah.
Yes. That disclaimer.
Now, I will say, breaking news, the Channel 7 has got the exclusive rights of the 2026 Rugby World Cup. They're paying $12 million to secure the exclusive rights. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, when was the last time something like this happened? Channel 7?
8 years ago, when we had the last Rugby World Cup in Australia. So
Okay.
they have bought into this before, Kempy, but I think PVL's ears have just pricked up nice and high over this story.
Channel 7 had the exclusive rights.
Correct. 8 years ago.
So it would have been, what, 2000 and...
I'm trying to think. 2017, sorry. We're going back.
2017.
2017.
Yep. Interesting, all of that talk around Channel 7. I'm trying to think. I don't recall watching it on Channel 7. That's what's weird. You sure it's exclusive?
That's what the reports are saying. I seem to remember it.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. I
Channel
don't remember
7
watching
having
it on
that
Channel
game.
7.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, super interesting, though. Like, it shows you that, Vlandis is moving and shaking. They did say that they might look at having a go at the rights deal, Channel 7. I guess it'll all depend on how well the international games go for them. When they look at the bang for buck, they look at the engagement in the game. But, yeah, I find that super interesting. And that was broken by Michael Chamis. And basically, Nine and DAZN have agreed to simulcast this year's 3-test Ashes series, which will be played in England October and November. Wow. I guess then from a perspective of DAZN and Fox and Nine, how much content will be around the World Cup? Will they... I'm sure Fox will, because they're a sports channel. Nine, will they create a lot of content to send people to the rival of their network?
How much coverage? I'll ask you that question, Kevy. You'll be doing much coverage around the World Cup.
Yeah.
What, the Ashes tour this year, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
World Cup next year, international footy, it's all part of it, right?
Yeah, but like if you're Nine,
I know what you're saying.
You're
I know what
sending
you're
people to an opposing network, and you're increasing revenue. The more eyes you get on that, the more revenue that you're giving to your opposing enemy. Daniel Wilder said Brett White will join Justin Holbrook as assistant coach of the Knights. Good signing. Good signing. World Cup where Brett Morris slid into the barrier was on Channel 7. Okay. Where he slid into the barrier. Okay, Channel 7. Geez, that's so weird. I do not remember that. Is that what's been some other times Seven's had it?
You're having to go back a long way before that. You'd be going back before. I don't know if they've ever held the outright rights. We'll get corrected on the text line very quickly if people can remember, but it's beyond my memory, Kempy.
Interesting. Okay, got some more texts here. Good afternoon, guys. Darren from Brisbane here. When will your radio station start introducing segments on the local Host Plus and BMD Cups here in Queensland and likewise for New South Wales? About time some of the local clubs get some airtime. To be honest, mate, it's really just about trying to appeal to the widest audience. And so I understand that they might mean a lot to you. And if the wider audience wants it, I think that we'll do it. But at this stage, we've struggled to cram everything in anyway. So something we can definitely look at, mate. Okay, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Got some text here. Hey, Denon, who is the best player you ever played with and against that never played State of Origin or international football? Cheers, the Duckman. Oh, okay. I will say the best player to not play much first grade, he might have played 1 or 2 games, was Aaron Barber, Ben Barber's older brother. He was unbelievable talent. Scored 4 tries in a Queensland Cup Grand Final. Like, talk about magic in his hands and his boots. This guy was just an absolute wizard on the field. And, he was so special to watch. In regards to other players that didn't play Origin, that's a tough one. Jeez. I mean, best player, if it comes to Origin, is obviously Darren Lockyer. Playing with him was just, everything was just so precise. Everything was exactly where it needed to be. Everything was an 8 or 9 out of 10. There was no silly passes. There was no dumb decisions. And the amount of games this bloke just would win off the back of his own boot or his own decisions, second to none. I'm trying to think in regards to other... the problem is that the Broncos, they all friggin' played Origin. They all played for Australia. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe the Warriors. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd have to think about that one, mate. I'd have to think about that one. Hey, Denham, best show on radio. Thanks, bro. Can you give us 4 try scorers for each game? Oh, man. Off the top of your dome. I can't give you 4 off the top of your dome. I'll try and get something by the end of the show. Channel 7 had rights sporadically over the years. 91, Pat Walsh was calling the Aussie game. Okay, awesome. All righty, we're going to head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Let's get into it, shall we? Make sure to text in 0457 736 736. But Big Tino has confirmed he will represent the Kangaroos in the upcoming Ashes tour. The 25-year-old Gold Coast Titans captain weighed up aligning with Samoa, for whom he had his Test debut in 2019. But he said his last outing for Kangaroos, a heavy 30-0 loss to New Zealand in 2023 Pacific Championship final, drove his decision. The reason I'm sticking with Australia is I feel like I have unfinished business, Tino told AAP. Last year I was out injured, so the last time I wore the green and gold was getting flogged by the Kiwis. It doesn't sit well with me. I want to give Aussie the best chance of winning the Ashes and do the green and gold proud. It's also the first Ashes series in 22 years. To be a part of something that historic doesn't come around often, and I want to look back and say I played my part in a moment like that. What I like about this from Tino is like the amount of pressure he would have been getting from, his Samoan side, not his family, obviously, but the wider Samoan audience. We know how passionate they are. We know what they did a few years ago. And he's his own man, Tino. It would have been arguably easier to go, okay, I'll play with Samoa because there's so much pressure. And understandably so, they're a smaller nation. They're very, very proud. Whereas there would be some backlash from Aussies, but, we've seen this happen so many times now. We kind of got to the point where we understand. And so I do really respect that Tino doesn't allow, at the very least at this stage, he's going to make his decision regardless of what's going on around him. Now, that doesn't mean he can't go to Samoa later on in his career, but at least right now, when there's all this pressure and, Payne Haas is going and we're hearing whispers of all these other guys, he makes his own decision. I've got a lot of respect for that. What do you reckon, Maestro?
I couldn't agree more. And he's been really open with that split that he's had and the loyalty he feels to both nations and the reasons for that. It's been great insight into the thoughts of some of these players when going into this decision. I think it's really interesting going forward now. I have no doubt Kevy's going to take him because people are pulling out falling like flies. They're pulling out. Like Tommy's said he's not going. Cameron Murray is not going over. So he needs to basically have himself some depth in there. And I think Tino will be a great sort of marker for the rest of the guys committing, hopefully, to going over.
A Tino Carrigan-Yo starting pack. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
It's terrifying.
No issue. Yeah.
That's terrifying for the English. The interesting thing will be if he's wearing some old colours come the World Cup next year, because that's been the rumour.
Yep.
And how much backlash he'll cop because of that. I think he's probably taken that into consideration as well. As if I do this now and then make the switch before the World Cup next year, I think there'll be a fair bit coming his way. But he's still opted to go this decision and go on the Ashes tour, which I think is really good. It's great for international rugby league.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Aussies and especially Kiwis, that happens all the time. I do think there is a small amount of people that get frustrated with it. And I get frustrated too. I'm a proud Australian. But I just don't think the pressure is the same. I think that most reasonable people, even as much, you can love Australia as much as anything, but even reasonable people go, look, it is best for our game. Yes, would it be great if you were born in this country or you were here before a certain age, you just saw yourself as Australia. But it's just not that. It's so much more complicated than that. And also, as I said, it is better for the game. If Australia just keep going, you all have to play for Australia, this game it'll never grow.
No.
It will always just be an Eastern Seaboard game in Australia in a tiny country. If we want to grow this game in the next 50 years, it has to be through international means. And so, I think most Aussies have kind of accepted that now. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens next year. Sydney Morning Herald reporting the Newcastle Knights have reached out to 3-time premiership winner playmaker Luke Keary about a role with the club as an attack and halves consultant from next season. The Knights are in the process of restructuring their coaching staff and have made a bold move to approach the recently retired Catalans pivot to gauge interest in joining the club. Keary worked with both new coach Holbrook and director of football James at the Sydney Roosters. Newcastle attack struggled to fire in 2025 under the guidance of attack coach Blake Green, who missed out on the job as Adam O'Brien's successor. I guess the biggest question out of this one is does this mean Blake Green is not a part of the plans going forward?
That's what it seems to be steering towards with Brett White coming in, as Danny Weidler reported as we were coming to air today. So Justin Holbrook putting a new squad, a new team around him to try and rebuild this squad and this Knights roster.
Yeah, it's interesting. You wonder, look, it usually happens. If you're part of the old coaching staff, it's not even about whether you're good or you're bad. It is just you're a part of the old way, and I want my way, my new way. But I do wonder if he never put his name forward and was like, no, I want to continue to learn my trade under this new coach. If he called Holbrook, and this is hindsight thinking, but like if he called him and said, mate, I want to work under you, I want to learn under you, I wonder whether he would have kept, if he is going to lose, that role, I wonder if he would have kept it.
It's interesting. And there's a lot of jobs going sort of in coaching stuffs at the moment. McEnnis has just moved over to the Dragons. Manly is still looking for people under Anthony Seibold. I don't know if that'd be appealing to too many at the moment with what's happening at that club. But, yeah, I think there's going to be more opportunity for him. Blake Green's long been touted as someone who'll be a future head coach, but probably just has those few more years of learning to do.
Oh, man, I think I thought about when I saw this story, and look, I just think we've become so desensitized. But, bro, everything leaks in rugby league now.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't even had a conversation with Luke Keary yet, but we know that they're going to reach out to him. You know what I mean? Like, we've known, that they've reached out to him. We don't even know. They haven't sat down. There's been no discussions, but everything gets into the media.
Like, how about the Laurie Daly story a couple of weeks ago about going to Manly, and then he reads the story and goes, you know what, I can probably do without this.
Mate,
I've got the Blues job to worry about. I've got radio to worry about. I don't need this.
It's great for the game because it just entertaining. We're always in the headlines, but mate, everything leaks. Everything leaks. It's crazy. Anyway, I guess we'll see what happens in regards to the Knights. I will say with the Knights, they can't take half measures.
No.
They blow the whole thing up. Even a new jersey design, like obviously keep the classic you got to keep the classic
Red
one.
and blue.
And the stripes, keep that. But maybe the away jersey is different. I don't know. I just think a complete blow-up would work. I think that there is no point in doing a halfway measure. The only problem for the Knights is they've already got two people smashing their salary cap. Now, Ponga will... I don't think Ponga will re-sign at the Knights. I think he'll go somewhere else. Dylan Brown, look, if he plays well, then it's good. It's all good. $1 million for a guy of his nature, of his talent. But that's the only problem for the Knights is the fact that they've got all these key roles essentially already locked in. But I just think they need to blow the whole thing up. They need to be willing to win multiple spoons and start again. I know it sucks, but they haven't fired a shot since 2001.
Yeah. That's a long time.
That's a long time. And, we're talking about the Newcastle Knights here. A heartland of some of the best talent in rugby league. Like, people have a go at the Broncos, and rightly so, with all the resources. Broncos have still made multiple grand finals and two of the grand finals are the best ever you've ever seen. And so with the Knights, 23 years, one prelim?
I think that's it.
Under Wayne?
Yeah.
Mate, you've got to...
And even he couldn't, fix it all up with what was happening there.
Yeah.
Albeit at a very strange time in that club's history with the Tinkler ownership. But
it all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it all adds up. It all adds up. And they need to blow the whole joint up. They need to set a standard all the way up to the top of the administration that this is who we are now and just start again. It's going to be painful. I think they need to do something similar-ish to the Eels. But what's crazy about the Eels, they've had success. I know they haven't won a premiership in 50 years or whatever, but they've been in grand finals at least and been in prelims, and they've developed a bunch of good players. The Knights, they've had no success since then, really. They've made finals, but they've never really looked like they're going to go deep into the finals. And so, I think they blow the whole thing up. I really do.
Big job, Justin Holbrook. Can I, Brett, take you to one more bit of leaking
Yeah.
that has happened over the course of the week, and one we've been following here almost daily, is the Manly the Manly Tom Trbojevic negotiations that seemed to be set. They were written. Then he was told he could go and have a look at Super League. Warrington came in with a 2-year offer. We had all this information leaking out through the Sydney Morning Herald. And now reports today that he is set to re-sign a 3-year deal with ratchet clauses taking him up to the end of 2029. As a Manly fan, the lack of respect is the issue. I don't think Tom ever wanted to leave. I don't think the club ever wanted him to leave. I think they still want him to be a centrepiece. But the way this seemed to be drawn out with people not knowing what offers were on the table and offers getting withdrawn, it's just a complete shit show.
Are we forgetting the DCE situation? Happened less than 12 months ago?
And when this story first came through, Kempy, I had that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach again that I had when DCE had that appearance on 100% footy. It seemed like history was about to repeat itself like 6 months later.
Mate, the decision some of the administration make there, it baffles the mind.
Yeah.
What did you gain by agreeing to an amount and then sending him the wrong amount, that's $100,000 less, and saying, we actually now think you're worth this? What did you gain other than everyone thinks you handled this like an amateur?
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only thing that came out of this is everyone is sitting here going, this is amateur hour. Because, I want to be really clear here. This isn't even about what he got offered.
No.
It's about the
At
way
all.
it gets handled. If Manly came out and said, Tommy Turbo's one of the greatest players we've ever seen at full flight, genuinely. However, he's averaged about 14 games over the last 5 years. He takes up a big chunk of the cap. We really want to build into the new future. I would understand that. I don't think that's an unreasonable take. Now, granted, I understand it's a risky take. I get that. But at least it's a reasonable, clear, concise take. Whereas this, bizarre low ball going against this, offering blokes contract, not offering blokes contract, how is that conducive to a good environment?
And the funny thing is, I think Tom actually would have been okay with the second offer.
Yeah.
If it had been the first offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. He already tried to a couple of years
That's
ago.
right. It was the story about him trying to pay money back to the club. So if they'd come to him initially with that, I don't think there would have been any issue. So that just smacks of a front office that is not communicating with one another and has people throwing out deals left, right and centre with no one responsible directly for it.
Look, maybe Tom's a bigger man than me, but if I was Tom Trbojevic and I could get $1 million anywhere else, and I got treated like that, I would. There's no way I would sign.
Just be off.
I would just be like, how dare you try and sneak that to me when we've agreed to and also, it's not like I'm hard to deal with.
Yeah.
We're talking about Tom Trbojevic here.
Probably one of the easiest to deal with.
As I agree with you. If they had said it's $600K, he probably would have said, you know what, first year I'll take six. We're talking about Tom Trbojevic, he would have been easy as to deal with, and you still tried to do these weird games with him. And what's hilarious is it sounds like he didn't even win the negotiations. It sounds like he's going to get what he initially agreed to.
Yep.
Because he said, in the report anyway, at the current rate, he's highly unlikely to resign, but he would resign if it's the original agreement. Which sounds like it's just about principle to him. Mate, so strange. Yeah, I just don't understand the club. I really don't. That is just so strange how it's run. It's so hard to get past the fact that, look, it's not just Seabold, but every club he goes to, there is just something that happens where the playing group, it just goes into complete meltdown.
I can't put this on Siebes whatsoever. The way this deal has been handled, I think that would have been above him. Heaven help him. Heaven help Siebes.
You reckon Siebes isn't a part
I think
of the
he's.
negotiation?
I think he's involved in it. I think he's involved in the discussion, but he's not the one putting the deal in front of Turbo's management,
mate,
and then withdrawing it.
I personally think that how he left the Rabbitohs, disaster. How he left the Broncos, disaster. Manly, it's a disaster. Now, as I said, he's not solely to blame, but it's an open secret. The playing group doesn't agree with the way he coaches.
Separate discussion,
or
not separate discussion. You don't
tell me a single club where a coach where it's an open secret. The playing group doesn't It's crazy, bro. And it's the third club it's happened at. I mean, Darius Boyd left the senior playing group at the Broncos. He couldn't love rugby league more, Darius Boyd. Mate, it's just a disaster. It really is a disaster waiting to happen. I can't. And also, there was a report the other day that one of the Super League coaches is his successor.
Yes, Willie Peters is said to be the successor. I don't know where that report's come from.
But a successor.
It's another thing coming out of Manly.
What are we talking about? You're talking about Seabold's had success there. He hasn't had any success there. He's what did he
won a finals game last year.
One finals game. It's just so strange. It's so strange. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Okay, we're going to head to a break. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, powered by Lawntel, the best internet in all the game. You can crank it up to a multi-gig speed. Average Australian household, I think it's around 100 megabits. This is 2 gig. I downloaded 60 gigs in like 3 minutes. Crazy. So no credit card. You only pay for what you use, guys. Go to lawntel.net.au/bloke, and you will not be disappointed. I can guarantee you that. We're also here for Chemist Warehouse. Chemist Warehouse half-price vitamin sale is on now. Okay, fans of daytime grand final have been given more ammunition after it emerged that Sunday afternoon's NRL game between Penrith and Bulldogs was the most watched of the 2 finals game of all time. Sorry, it was the most watched Week 2 finals game of all time. Wow. Week 2 of the NRL finals had a combined average of 3.8 million viewers across New Zealand and Australia, up more than 34% on the corresponding weekend last year. The Bulldogs and Panthers have attracted 2 million viewers across the 9-network Fox and Sky, and was also most streamed finals game of all time. Most streamed finals game of all time. Jesus. The NRL and broadcasters will get another gauge of the appetite for daytime footy this weekend when Brisbane host Penrith and Sunday afternoon at Suncorp Stadium in the grand final qualifier. Man, I think it's interesting to find out how many of those extra viewers were Kiwis that were like, bro, I'm not staying up till bloody 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And that will give you a real gauge on how good it is, I guess. But look, what I don't get is like, surely a grand final in these big games, like, are people really going, nah, not watching it? It starts at 6 or it starts at 4? Like, I don't, like, these big games, you're not going to be like, oh, we've got a picnic, so you're going to get back for the big game. These happen once a year. They're a finals game. It's usually an elimination. I just don't understand. And look, the whole, what about the news? Man, Sunday 6 o'clock news. What are we talking about? That changed 15 years ago when we got the internet, 20 years ago. Like, when the internet came in, we know what the news is already. We don't need to, like, if it was morning news, maybe. I think it's crazy. I think we absolutely should be going back to, like, I just want to, can someone present to me all the data that shows why we have it at night rather than at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? That's all I want.
Well, this was the argument, was that Sunday afternoon games weren't rating as high as the night games. Yeah.
How much? What's the difference? Like right now, what's the difference? Is it a little bit? Is it a lot? I don't know. And also, like, if we played it regularly in the afternoon game, surely we're going to get a higher quality game of rugby league than at night footy.
You're also building habits in your viewers, I think.
Absolutely.
In terms of playing that game on Sunday. In terms of a spectacle, you're spot on. The Sunday afternoon slot is the place.
Bro, we just had one of the greatest ever finals game, Broncos versus Raiders. Like, that is going to be so hard to top. Like, only Broncos, Penrith top it because it was a grand final. But if you're talking about just finals games, like, it's probably the greatest ever. Like, in regards to, like, insane from Reece Walsh, blokes getting sent to the bin, Walshy giving the finger to half the crowd. Bloody, they thought they'd won it nearly 2 or 3 times. Like, hit the crossbar. Like, it was right up there at least.
Yeah.
Right up there.
So, Kempy, I'm a massive nerd with this sort of stuff.
Okay.
I love looking at TV numbers, all that sort of stuff. So this was the first time we've outrated the AFL over the terms of a weekend of finals footy for like 20 years.
Oh, really?
Which is massive.
So, but we outrated them the whole year though, but just not finals.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So finals time, they seemed to get the more national audience. This time we had an uptick in viewers from Brisbane, with no Brisbane teams playing the second week. We had an uptick in viewers from Melbourne without the Storm playing.
Wow.
So if we follow through on this, I think there's a real argument that the NRL could move even this grand final to a Sunday afternoon. I think it would make sense. It would make sense. They finally have these numbers, which they've not had. This is new data. It's saying, hey, we want finals footy in the afternoon because they've made that move. I know they got criticised for it. There's a bit of backlash about, how much time teams are going to have to rest. But in terms of for the viewer, for the fan, I think this is such a strong argument in favour of playing this game on a Sunday afternoon. Take it back, baby.
Oh, man. Imagine you're sitting in a core stadium, it's packed, and you get all those good games before it, and then it hits 4 o'clock, it's just a dry track. It would be, and you get the sunset. And also, when it comes to, like, putting money back in the economy, if you're playing at, like, 7:30, 7:50 or whatever, by the time the game finishes, you're done. Whereas if you're finished by 6:30, you're going to the local pub and having a few beers.
Well, if you want to make the news argument, there's your base for the news. Use that, Channel 9. There's your lead-in.
Yeah, there's your lead in. Absolutely. And also, yeah, that's the big story.
That's right.
The team has won it. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I reckon a Sunday afternoon doesn't get much better than that. I will say I'd love to get your thoughts, and this isn't hindsight hero thinking. I said it when it all happened. This is too dramatic, but I'm going to be dramatic.
Yeah,
for
go
it.
for it.
But it is too dramatic. Did Ricky Stewart demanding to be played on a Sunday cost him week 3 of the finals?
I think his opposition probably cost him week 3 of the finals more than the schedule.
Okay. Would Reece Walsh have been able to do what he did on a Saturday night at 8:30 at night?
That's a really good point. It still would have been a tight game. Would have been a bruiser.
Yeah.
I don't think it goes 94 minutes.
Now, go even further. Now, I didn't say this before. And it gave him a shorter turnaround to the next game as well.
How much of an impact do you think? Yeah, I think it played a part without being the defining factor. How's that?
I just think I couldn't believe. Listen, if you were going to play a team that wasn't the Broncos, I could understand it. He'd already rested his whole team the week before. And so what I couldn't believe was like, the last thing you want to give the Broncos is a dry track in a Sunday arvo. And I don't think Reece Walsh comes out and has the moments that he has. And granted, the whole game would have been different.
Yep.
But the last thing the Broncos want to do is go down to Canberra at 7:30 at night when it's freezing cold and play the Raiders. That's the last thing they want to do.
Can I ask you, as a Broncos fan now, do you think that turnaround, I know it's a little bit longer, 7 days versus 9 coming up this weekend, is that a worry going into a grand final, particularly given the Broncos will have to travel down? I know it's not a long trip, but...
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, these guys are so good at recovery these days. Like, you know, yes, you could argue an extra 2 days helps, but these guys are beasts. Like, if you're going to win it, you're going to win it. I don't think the extra day, unless you get so unlucky and it's a 95-minute game or something like that, I don't think... Now, listen, if it's 7 till 6, though, that's a little bit different. You're starting to get into territory. Like, if you're playing on a Sunday and you've got to play on a Friday or something like that, that's tight because you basically got recovery, light run Tuesday, probably a day off Wednesday, and then you got your captain's run. So you really don't get time to build into the year. And also, you've got so much like obligations. 7 days, though, you get your 2 days off in that space. So I reckon 7 days is all right. And you're never going to fix it. And I think at this point, you just got to think of the fan. Like, if you wanted to go, we'll put the Friday night game and then we'll put a Saturday Arvo game. I just think the fan would rather a Sunday Arvo game and a Friday night game.
The AFL haven't moved theirs, Kempy. Despite all the pressure from TV networks, all that sort of stuff, they're stuck with this Saturday afternoon grand final. I'd love to see the Rugby League go back to Sunday.
And also, then you spend the entire night over
drinking
and
it
over,
in.
But also, in the news, across all news, is that is the grand final.
Yeah.
Whereas if you play it later, it is literally an hour, and then you're in bed. You stop, and it's on the news the next day. But with the AFL Grand Final, it is on repeat for the whole day. Like the match-winning conversion or whatever. Like it's a different beast. It's a different beast. All right, we're gonna head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All righty, we've got some more team news here. Let's get into some details. Sharkies season. If they bow out this week, what are you rated out of 10?
I'm going a 7, I reckon.
7?
I'm going a 7. You're going higher than that, I've no doubt.
I'd go at least an 8.
Okay.
Like, for the Shark, like, think of the juggernauts that are still in. Broncos, Penrith, Storm, and Sharkies out of all the teams, Raiders, Doggies, all the teams that are bigger, they got to the top 4. And they didn't do it the easy way, too. They went win against the biggest dark horses in the thingo, and then they beat the Raiders minor premierships at home. Like, I'd go 8. I'd go 8. Yeah, I think so. I'm such an admirer of what they've done, and I guess what's scary is like they have a chance to make a grand final.
Yeah.
Now I'd be backing the Panthers or the Broncos in that grand final, but mate, if they make that grand final, the size of that club, and with how bad they were mid-year, it'll be nothing short of incredible. Nothing short of incredible.
I think I'm looking just back to last year, where they've been here before. We've seen them at this stage. I know it was a different journey. They were a lot more favoured, I guess, to get to this stage a year ago than they were this time around. But
mid-year. At the start of the year, they were a lot of people's favourites because Adam Fanua-Blake
addition. but then middle of the year, they drop off. They've had to go through the 2 elimination finals just to get to this point. I can't have them as a rating above what I would have had them last year, given the fact they've made the same stage and actually the regular season performances were probably slightly down on what they produced last year.
I think they had the same amount of wins last year. I'll have to check that. Do they get extra points for going win-win? Because last year they went loss-win.
No, not in my rating. I can't have that because that is down to where you finished over 27 rounds. Man, I still think that's a big marker. We put a lot of precedence on finals, but
I think that they're in much better shape going into this game. I don't think anyone gave them a chance against the Penrith Panthers in the prelim. Like, not a chance.
No.
Whereas here, there are a lot of people that are giving the Sharkies a chance here, and I think it's a natural progression of their ability. Like, Fitzy comes in 3 or 4 years ago. They make top 4. Like, pretty much they average about 34 points a year or 32 points. They make top 4 essentially every year except for 2 where they come 5th or 6th.
Yep.
And in the last 2 years, they've gone back-to-back prelims. You go back to the Eels, a very similar ride. They made a few prelims and then got into a grand final. The Rabbitohs, a few prelims, then got into a grand final. And so I just think it's a natural progression. I really do. And I think that they're going into this. This is easily the best Shark side, as in form-wise, going into finals since Fitzy arrived.
And I think I'm doing that thing people do with the Sharks as well, where I'm going, okay, they're a better chance of winning this game, and yes, they're coming in better form, but they're facing the Melbourne Storm, who haven't looked great all year. We've had question marks about them. There was none of that last year against the Panthers. They were this indomitable force, and I don't think the Melbourne Storm are that, but that means they've got a better chance of making the grand final.
I feel like with the Sharkies, anything they do,
yeah, no, I agree.
Just go,
I'm falling into that trap,
Storm,
but I still think it's...
Like, even this text here, the Sharks beat the Roosters who couldn't play any worse at home. Like, the Roosters, they came out in the second half and absolutely dominated the Sharks for 20 minutes, but they couldn't score because the Sharks' defence was good. And then they played a completely depleted Raiders side who they should have beaten by 30. Like, bro, their odds were like, what are they, 250 or something like that?
They were outsiders going into that game.
And that was at home.
Significantly.
You're telling me that the minor premiers were supposed to get beaten by 30 by the Sharkies who can't, like, they just never get their due, the Sharkies. They're in a prelim. They just never get their due. But I guess we'll see. Okay, got another text here. Kempy, I think what the media overlook when discussing an afternoon or evening GF is that regardless of when it is held, the same number of people are watching. You either watch it at a club, pub, or relative or mate's house around a barbecue with a large TV, or you watch it at home by yourself with immediate family. By having it in the afternoon, you probably get better game. Kids of all ages can watch. It gets a bigger audience in New Zealand and Pacific nations, and the winning team probably gets the chance to head back to the Leagues Club to celebrate with the fans. Also, hospitality venues should, around our core, get more business. It's no brainer. Hi, lads. My mum is 93. She would love to watch the grand final. She loves her footy, but she will miss it if it's at night because she goes to bed at 7 p.m. Can record it for her, but she will hear who won on the news next morning and she won't want to watch it then. Elderly and young kids missed a big one after following it all year. Not fair. Cheers, the Wallisha Rabbit. Yeah, it's a fair shout. Like, we always talk about, connecting the game to the kids and, rusted on fans, but you're really not taking care of them by having it at that time. Like, I'll be honest, some of the games that finish at like 10 o'clock at night, it is torture.
I can't believe we've stuck with the Saturday night finals for so long. I just think it's a death knell for sports, and the ratings bear it out, Kempy.
Mate, Saturdays should be 2, 4, and 6 throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
2, 4, and 6. Like, that's much better. So you can actually bloody enjoy your Saturday night instead of on a 7:50. Like, if you have to stay home and watch the footy, and it's an absolute Barry Crocker of a game, it's
Which
a Saturday.
Generally by the end of the year.
And then you're sitting there till 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and like, it's just I think 6 o'clock would do much better. Sharks definitely an 8.5. Okay, an 8.5. I like that. AFL can do a grand final during the day. Why can't we? Let's go Channel 7. Skero. Okay. If they cared about the fans, Origin would be on a Saturday. Skero. I do think there's something special about midweek Origin. We tried it with COVID. There's just something unique about a Wednesday night Origin. What do you reckon, Maestro?
No, I agree with that. I don't want to move Origin.
No.
I like it there. It's got clear air there, Kempy. There's no other sport anywhere around the world. Wednesday night, all focus.
All focus. All righty, we're going to head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, powered by Lontel Internet and also NBN Co. A lot of people don't know this, but I think there's about 150,000 residents that are eligible for a free upgrade to the NBN Co. So you can actually check it out. I'm pretty sure on the NBN Co website. It used to cost like 30 grand to upgrade it. Now it's free. So things have changed. And if you want the best internet in the game, listen, I can't express to you how good this internet is and how much they help you set it up, how quickly they can set it up. So if you've been struggling with your internet, you want to go in no contracts, no credit cards, give it a try. Free trial, 7 days. Take it or leave it. You don't have to stay if you don't want it. Lontel.net.au/bloke. Okay, got a text here. All right, where was that big text that just went in regards to Nine's agreement that you just had up on the thingo? Oh, okay. Up the top?
Yep.
Okay.
Here we go. Coming now. There you go.
Coming now. All right, there we go. Okay, Beacon Maestro. Okay, now it's not opening. How good. All right, anyway. Beacon Maestro. A compromise was reached between official broadcaster Nine Network's preferred starting time of 7 p.m. and the traditional starting time of 3 p.m., with the grand final beginning at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Daylight Savings Time?
Yeah, it generally falls. I think it is again this year.
Starts. Yeah. In 2013, the evening start resumed and has occurred since. I concur. I think 5 p.m. time slot is the sweet spot for both fans and broadcaster. The NRL should be advocating for this is then in their next broadcast rights negotiation. Both parties can compromise, meeting halfway. I think so. I'd be very surprised if the numbers are so drastically different that the Nine networks can't go, you know what, let's try it just for 1 year. Just for 1 year and see what happens. Okay, instead of, let's say we had 4.4 million viewers and then we put it to an Arvo and we had 4.2 million viewers. At least, you can look at the numbers and go, it was worth it, it wasn't worth it, we need to train them. So, okay, got another text here. I'll help out with this Sharks Storm 4 try scorers game, Kempy. Wilton, Trindle short crash ball on the line over Hughes. Mulatalo, they'll get numbers that side during the 80 minutes. Coates will jump over the top of Katoa at some point. And Munster, he's just a freak. There'll be a show and go, and he'll shrug off Nico Hines' attempt to go in all but untouched. Okay, I like it. I don't mind it at all. What's that paying? I need value though, baby. I need value. I don't want none of this bloody, it's $5. I want some value. Get me up to the 20s and the 30s. That's child's play. Hey boys, there's a lot of people that work long hours, 6 days a week, and love watching their footy at 8 p.m. I'd cop having an Arvo grand final because I could take the whole day off to watch everything that day, but I can't afford to do that in all final series. Nighttime is great footy. Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. Only day where I would say, can we have it a bit earlier, is Saturday. But I know a lot of people do still work Saturday, so I'm not pretending that's not the case. But unlike your Thursdays, your Fridays, your Sundays are already earlier, but Thursdays and Fridays, you can't bring it earlier because, mate, most people aren't they're barely home by the time the footy starts.
6 o'clock on Friday.
Especially if you've got kids, you're basically getting home, you've got to take care of the kids, bar them, get them in there, get them to bed. That takes 2 hours just by itself, and then you get to watch the footy. Got another one here. There's about 4 versions of Channel 9. They can put the news on one of the others. The footy is going to smash the news rating. Yeah, fair enough as well, mate. Got some more here just quickly. The Sharks will beat the Storm, who are way underdone, and I'm a Waz fan. Sharks will win the grand final, coming from a Para supporter. Wow. See, that's what I mean, bro. I'm telling you, last year, there was none of this chat for the Sharks. And I understand the Panthers were in a much better position. I get it. But there was none of this chat. I do think the biggest question, and I never thought I would say this about a Melbourne Storm side coming into a finals game, especially an elimination one, but what Storm side turns up?
Yeah.
It's a little bit similar to the Broncos. What Broncos side turns up? If they click, they can beat anyone. Whereas that has very rarely happened in a Melbourne Storm jersey where you've gone, I'm unsure of what version will turn up. Is it the conservative, grindy, gritty Storm side that, gets through the game with their defence, or is it the team that wins 36-30? Whereas that's what makes the Panthers so scary. We know what they're going to do. It is, for everyone to see, it is clear as day what the Penrith Panthers are going to do because they're so clinical. They are so clinical. Like, I would love to go back and look at the amount of games they've completed in finals footy, less than 80%. I reckon it might be one or two.
Yep.
Like, you go back to that grand finals in 2023. It doesn't get spoken about much. They made their first error in, like, the 60th minute, and their completion rate was 94%. Like, think about that. There is no way they win that game if their completion rate was 85%. Like, 85% is good. Theirs was 94%. They executed their game plan so well that it even counted Broncos' talent. Whereas Broncos would probably go, listen, they're probably going to come in, complete around 85, 87%. We believe we've got enough to take care of that, which they would have. They would have. But the fact is, the Panthers knew if they just hung in there and held the ball long enough, kept it in play, the Broncos would fatigue. All right, I'm going to head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Last text here. Hey, Kempy, after 4 or 5 years, how haven't all those brilliant coaches and assistants have not figured out this Panthers side with all the video work they do these days? I know they're very, very fit, but in terms of shape and style of play they do, how haven't these coaches somewhat worked them out? Again, you can't, if the ball is in play long enough and you are the fitter team, doesn't matter what tactics you use to stop a try from being scored, you will eventually fatigue and make the wrong decision, or you will eventually fatigue and be bumped. And that's why they've been figured out. Everyone knows what they do, drop under. It's like it's been figured out in the Origin arena because they've got the reason why it doesn't work in the Origin arena is because you've got the best of the best. They're as fit, if not fitter, than the Penrith side. So they can go all day. You're not going to win an Origin game with fitness. Like it's never going to happen because it means so much to these players that they're going to go for 80 minutes till the death. We saw that with Game 3 of Queensland. Whereas in Clubland, you're not going to have across the board top tier players. Eventually, whoever it is in the side will take a shortcut. They'll break early and they'll give a penalty away. They'll hold someone down too long. And that's why you can have all the best tactics in the world, but if you're not fitter than them and willing to complete at a high rate, they will beat you. They will beat you. Okay, thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. Run home after this, and we'll see you next week.